iti namine.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine.
Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine.
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami iti namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine.
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Jaya
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Austatara Satashi Srimad Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Austatara Satashi Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Shikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Go Bhaktan Ki Jai. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Gaur Prem Anande Hari Hari Go. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. I'm always talking about kirtan, and particularly proper kirtan, isn't it? Every week I say something, because other than proper kirtan, we may have big meetings and thousands of followers and press coverage, but there's no it doesn't work. It may, in this information age or misinformation age, all electronic media and newspapers and everything, you can create a group of 10,000 people on any subject. Anybody a little expert, any high school student who's good at, he can create a a Google group for any subject, anything he's interested in. See? I happen to see some girl is making jewelry, so she's got thousands of followers. Maybe because, anyway. But the world is not getting better. The world is, Kali Yuga is advancing. Every day we read. Today I read one Silicon Valley Bank has collapsed. Silicon Valley Bank. It's not serious, don't worry, because there's trillions of dollars in other banks all similarly tottering, that people every day you read about some new epidemic is being discussed or planned. In spite of so much talent, information theory and information technology, the world is not, with all that information, what is information? It should help you solve your problems. And the problem is that everybody is getting old. Touch wood. And getting sick and dying. And information is not helping. So as we talked before, we accept an intelligent person. It's not a question of intelligence, he has to be fortunate. What is that verse? Brahmananda, Bramacari, what is that verse?
Guru Krishna Prasade Bhai Bhakti Lata Bij.
Guru Krishna Prasade Bhai Bhakti Lata Bij is only by with the grace of Krishna that we can get in contact with Guru, and he can instill in us, like planting a seed, a bhakti, which is the real yoga, which enables us to connect to the spiritual realm, to Krishna, to our original home, and get out of this material world. Otherwise, no ism, no scientific discipline, no knowledge can help solve our problem. And the problem is that we get old, we're getting old, even these young boys, his skin is peeling off, so he's scratching. The body is always deteriorating and getting old, and eventually ceases. And no material knowledge has ever helped or will ever help, because the whole material existence, the whole material world, the universe, is only a corner of the total existence, which is spiritual. So our original nature is, our nature even now is spiritual, but is covered by matter. So how to get out begins with hearing, coming in contact with a genuine representative. You can have a representative of some supermarket, but if he's not genuine, he will steal your valuable groceries while delivering. That happens. Yeah? we have to be in touch with a genuine representative, emissary from the spiritual world, and only by that means we can begin to understand and to make progress out of this material cycle. What we're in is a cycle of a material cycle. We get old, we get sick, we die, and no science of this world has ever been able to help overcome this. Only the spiritual science. The book is called Raja Vidyam, Raja Guyam. It's the science of self-realization. Self-realization, the beginning. Theoretically, we understand that we are not the body. So, how is it possible people never heard of this subject and they're not interested in hearing about it, and it's not in the curriculum of any colleges or schools? How are people to come to know of this science? Is only by the grace of Acharya, of genuine Guru. Who is called, he is full of compassion, concern for the living entities. So this chanting is not only the beginning, it is always to be continued. Kirtanaya sada Hare, always chanting. Devotees are always chanting. It's not, well, yes, I joined this Krishna consciousness movement by hearing the chanting, and I'm chanting, and now I don't have, no. It's sada Hare, always chanting. The chanting, as I have so many times spoken about, has to be proper. Proper means in the way that the Acharya has chanted. And I try to explain it in different ways. I think you understand this to some extent, because it's very nice that you're doing kirtan. I say you, I used to join, but now I can't go. Maybe I'll get over this, but now I'm confined to house. Anyway, but I'm very happy to hear the kirtan in the street as you're going and coming. And it's having effect. People are listening and taking books, giving without coercion, without our having to twist their arms. And I'm always speaking about this principle that the chanting has to be proper. Proper means as chanted by the Acharya. So yesterday I read a very nice story, not story, true occurrence on the internet. In a few months ago, you may have read in the newspaper or watched on TV that in Australia and New Zealand, the governments of those two countries were trying to impose that every citizen or everybody in the country has to get injection with so-called COVID vaccine. That's another subject. You're aware? Some of you have read this, heard this? So Australia and New Zealand, they're not places that we hear that there's civil disobedience, and like France, every week it seems they have a violent demonstration about something. They're always in France. The people are a little bit, I don't know why, but there's one theory that has to do with the climate. Anyway, in Australia and New Zealand, people are, we understand they're moderate in their temperament. But there were big demonstrations. Thousands of people were going out and defying police orders and chanting slogans and displaying placards. They're opposed to this inoculation. So the Krishna devotees, Sankirtan party, also joined the protest. It was very interesting to read that it seems the leader of the Sankirtan party, like myself and I don't know how many others, we strongly advocate only chanting in these particular tunes. So every day they were going and chanting, and they attracted many people who came and listened and joined in the chanting. Among them was one young boy. I just imagine, I think he's, from the context, that he was around 13 or 14 years old. So after a few days of demonstration, and the demonstration consisted, like I joined the movement by hearing the kirtan, and then Bhardraj Prabhu or other devotee, they would stand up and speak something, explain the philosophy. In the West, people never heard of, kirtan, and so I imagine that it seems that in Australia or New Zealand, this devotee was also standing and speaking after kirtan. After a few days, one boy from the context, it seems around 13 or 14 years old, he approached him and he said, "I want to speak tonight." He was coming every night, see? Simply by hearing the kirtan and the devotee's speech, the boy understood everything, and he wanted to speak. This is a very, very wonderful thing. I'll try to find the link and I'll send it on WhatsApp. You can imagine. So this is a wonderful story. It's testimony to the potency of proper chanting. And of course the devotee, the Sankirtan leader, all credit is due to him, that he has understood, and his kirtan and his speeches are completely bona fide, and they have the power to transform. Just an outside boy who never had any contact with Krishna consciousness, he felt confident he wants to speak. These are my local people, I will explain. Okay? Very wonderful story. So we should think of these things. In India, I don't know if that will happen. Many people spring up. I see sometimes if I'm looking even for my own talks, there are videos of one young person, what is his name you told me, in North India, or somebody told me his name, talking to a pandal audience, 2,000-3,000 people, and there's a picture of Prabhupada behind him. Because he's not a real follower of Prabhupada, he's wearing a beard, and he wears a funny hat, but he's using Prabhupada, because Prabhupada is actually famous, and he is becoming famous himself, using Prabhupada's image. That's no good. But my point is that in India, there's hundreds of these swamis and yogis, young and old, with beards and all manner of headgear, and they have big audience. People are not able to distinguish what is truth from what is cheating, Koitava Dharma. Cheating. They'll talk all. One of them, the Bangalore businessman with a funny hat, he's never read Bhagavad Gita. He's very famous.